blind date at a cafe. The girl couldn't afford the bill, but the CEO Millionaire said, "It's on me." The menu trembled in Sarah's hands as she stared at the prices, each number feeling like a punch to her already bruised pride. $28 for a sandwich, $18 for a salad. Her heart hammered against her ribs as she calculated the meager $43 sitting in her checking account, money that was supposed to last her until Friday, 3 days away. Across from her sat Marcus Chen, her blind date, casually browsing the menu as though the prices were written in invisible ink, meaningless and irrelevant. She had dressed in her best interview outfit, the navy blazer she'd thrifted 2 years ago, hoping to mask the reality of her situation. But now, sitting in this upscale cafe her well-meaning friend had chosen, Sarah felt like an imposter about to be exposed. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to hit that like button, drop a comment below sharing your thoughts, and subscribe to Kindness Pulse for more inspiring stories that remind us of the beauty in human connection. Your support means the world. Sarah had almost canceled this date 3 times. After losing her marketing job 6 months ago, she'd been living on freelance gigs that barely covered rent, riding the bus 2 hours each way to save on gas, and eating rice and beans more nights than she cared to admit. Dating felt like a luxury she couldn't afford, both financially and emotionally. But her best friend Emma had been relentless, insisting that this Marcus guy was different, that he was kind, that Sarah deserved something good in her life. So here she was, pretending to study the menu while her mind frantically recalculated her budget, wondering if she could order just water and claim she'd eaten earlier. Marcus set down his menu and smiled at her, a warm, genuine expression that somehow made everything worse. He was handsome in an understated way, with kind eyes that crinkled at the corners and an easy confidence that suggested he'd never had to check his bank account before ordering lunch. "Everything looks great here," he said. "Have you been before?" Sarah shook her head, her throat tight. "First time," she managed, her voice barely steady. She wanted to disappear, to melt into the leather seat and evaporate like the steam rising from the espresso machine behind the counter. Their conversation started tentatively, but Marcus had a gift for putting people at ease. He asked about her work, and she found herself opening up about her freelance projects, carefully editing out the desperation, the late-night panic attacks, the applications that went unanswered. He listened with genuine interest, asking thoughtful questions, sharing his own stories with self-deprecating humor that made her laugh despite her anxiety. For brief moments, she forgot about the menu, forgot about the prices, forgot about the impending disaster at the end of this meal. When the server arrived, Marcus ordered confidently, a gourmet burger, truffle fries, a craft beer. Sarah's pulse quickened. "Just a small garden salad for me," she said quickly, "and water, please." Marcus looked at her with concern. "Are you sure? You mentioned you loved Mediterranean food earlier. Their lamb plate is supposed to be incredible." Sarah forced a smile. "I'm not that hungry, actually. Had a big breakfast." The lie tasted bitter on her tongue, especially since breakfast had been a packet of instant oatmeal she'd been stretching for 3 days. As they talked, Sarah found herself genuinely enjoying his company. Marcus worked in tech, he mentioned casually. But he spoke more about his volunteer work teaching coding to underprivileged kids than about his job. He asked about her dreams, not just her current situation, and when she spoke about wanting to start her own digital marketing agency someday, he didn't dismiss it as naive. Instead, his eyes lit up. "That's exactly the kind of vision that changes industries," he said. "People who've struggled understand what real problem-solving looks like." Something in the way he said it made her wonder if he understood more than he was letting on. The meal arrived, and Sarah picked at her salad while trying not to stare at Marcus's burger. He noticed, of course, and pushed his fries toward her. "These are way too much for one person. Help me out?" It was a kindness disguised as a request, and Sarah felt tears prickling behind her eyes. She took a few fries, grateful and humiliated in equal measure. The conversation continued, flowing easily, but the knot in Sarah's stomach tightened with each passing minute. The bill was coming, and she was running out of time to figure out what to do. When the server brought the check, Sarah reached for her purse with trembling fingers, her mind racing through impossible calculations. Maybe she could put it on her credit card, even though it was maxed out. Maybe she could explain, confess everything, and offer to pay him back in installments. The shame burned through her chest like acid. But before she could say anything, Marcus had already placed his black card on the tray. "I've got this," he said simply. Sarah's eyes widened. "No, I can't let you. We should split it. Marcus held up a gentle hand and something in his expression stopped her protest. "Sarah, I'm going to tell you something I don't usually share on first dates." He paused, his voice softening. 10 years ago, I was living in my car, washing up in gas station bathrooms trying to build my first startup on a laptop I'd bought at a pawn shop. I went on a date once, a girl I really liked, and I couldn't afford to order anything but coffee. The guy at the next table overheard, paid for both our meals and told me, one day, "You'll do this for someone else." That startup eventually sold for $40 million. Sarah sat frozen, barely breathing. Marcus continued, "I'm the CEO of Chen Technologies now, and I never forgot that man's kindness. But more than that, I've never forgotten what it feels like to be where you are right now, and yes, I can see it because I've lived it." His eyes held no pity, only understanding and respect. "So this isn't charity, Sarah. This is me paying forward a debt I can never fully repay. And besides," he smiled, "I'd really like to see you again, and I have a feeling you're going to be running your own agency within 2 years. I invest in people with your kind of resilience." Tears spilled down Sarah's cheeks before she could stop them. Not tears of humiliation this time, but of relief, gratitude, and something else. Hope. "I don't know what to say," she whispered. Marcus handed her a napkin, his expression warm. "Say you'll let me take you out again next week. Somewhere less intimidating. I know a great taco truck." Sarah laughed through her tears, nodding. "I'd like that. And Marcus, thank you, not just for the meal, but for seeing me." As they left the cafe, Marcus mentioned almost casually that his company was looking for a freelance marketing consultant for a 3-month project, if she was interested. "No pressure," he said, "but your portfolio Emma showed me was impressive. I think you'd be perfect." Sarah knew this was another kindness, but she also knew she'd earned it through the work he genuinely admired. Sometimes she realized accepting help isn't about weakness. It's about allowing others to be part of your story, to lift you up so you can eventually lift others. Before we wrap up this beautiful story, if you believe in the power of kindness and want more heartwarming content like this, please take a moment to like this video, share your own experiences with unexpected kindness in the comments, and subscribe to Kindness Pulse. Let's build a community that celebrates compassion. 6 months later, Sarah sat in her own small office, the sign reading Carter Digital Marketing hanging proudly on the door. Marcus had become not just a boyfriend, but a partner who believed in her vision. The freelance gig had turned into permanent clients, which had given her the foundation to launch her agency. But more valuable than any business advice he'd given her was the lesson from that first date, that our worst moments of vulnerability can become our greatest connections, that true generosity sees people not for what they lack, but for who they're becoming, and that sometimes the most expensive thing on the menu is our pride, and it's worth swallowing it to accept the help that changes our lives. Sarah kept a framed quote on her desk now. "It's on me." Not because someone else would always pay her way, but because she'd learned that we all carry each other's burdens at different times, and that's not weakness, that's humanity.